All right. Hello, everyone. This is Mary Hasworth Fernandez, your host of Leadership, Legacies, and Legends, the podcast. I am so excited today about our guests. I am overwhelmed. When I thought about this interview, it almost brought me to tears because I have seen this man in action. But I'll tell you more about that later. Right now, you can find us on YouTube and all your favorite listening sites, and we're going to get right down to business. Part one and part two. Today, I have the privilege of introducing to you Chief Springs. Chief is what most people call him. This man, I never forgot heading over to one of the universities and seeing him on the stage, speaking into the lives of youth. It was so powerful that I felt safe leaving one of my children there on that campus. All the cute things he said to them with comfort, humor, and authority, such as if you're not where you're supposed to be, I'm gonna put posters all up around this campus missing for your child. I remember that one. Then second, I got to see him mentoring in the young adult work world. He spoke into the life of a young man who was maybe traumatized from the bad effects of working out there on the job market and running into individuals who have different agendas or different communication skills, crushing the spirit of young adults starting out with massive skills and massive resumes, crushing that spirit so devastatingly that when I saw Chief in action, speaking into the life of that young adult, he was able to say back to Chief things that you wouldn't expect. Second, he just lifted a weight that I have not seen since. So Chief Springs is our guest, and you're in for a treat. So he has a massive background, so I'm going to leave him and ask him to share from his own words some of the things he has done. But I can tell you, part one, working with youth. Part two, helping the vets who are lost and don't know what to do. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you Chief Springs. Give him a hand. This is what I would do about a lot of people.
Thank you. Thank you.
Chief, welcome. Come on, tell us about you. Where did you come from?
Well, I came from Huntersville in Norfolk, Virginia.
All right, all right.
I was born in a house at 1018 Barney Street.
Oh,
I
okay.
went to John T. West Elementary School, J. Cox Junior High School, and played football at Booker T. Washington High School.
Mhm.
Played band at J. Cox. I left all of that behind to go into the Marine Corps.
Uh-huh.
Spent 3.5 years in the Marine Corps and 21 months in Vietnam. Surviving all of that,
Woo.
I did go into law enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in law enforcement almost 50 years.
Wow.
And it has been an adventure for me because everything that I have learned through my experiences, I have been able to use it to help others. So
That's a
that's,
big.
that's a lot about me. That's.
Well, I tell you, we're going to learn more about you because you grew up in a community that today, just by the sound, we know the challenges they are facing. And
Yes,
you survived and you were inspired.
yes.
You don't have to name the individual, but who inspired you from your childhood besides your parents?
You don't want me to name the individual, I take
That's
it.
right.
It was a
If you
childhood
want, you
friend.
can. You can.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It was a childhood friend whose mother finished college when she was up in age. And
Uh-huh.
she had 5 children. And she went to college and she graduated with her degree.
Uh-huh.
And never forgotten that. That told me that it's never too late.
Uh-huh.
So when I got to life, I decided I was gonna go back to school and get a degree myself. So I did. So
Yeah.
that was the smart thing.
So her
So
action.
I was inspired.
Okay, wait a minute. We went silent there for
Yes,
a minute. So I don't know why it broke up, but you were inspired by. Okay.
by knowing that there was someone out there
Mhm.
who took the opportunity to further their education and have 5 children
Mm.
hanging on her arm.
Oh.
And she graduated from Norfolk State University.
Mm-hmm.
Proud
Mm-hmm.
that that's always stuck with me.
Wow. Wow.
Now, throughout my career, I've had multiple opportunities to go to school.
Mhm.
Uh, I was sent to the University of Louisville for the National Crime Prevention Institute. I've been there twice.
Wow.
Penn State University for police executive training
Mm-hmm.
and police supervisory training. Been there twice.
Mm-hmm.
The police departments invested a lot of money in my education, and I can't do nothing but thank them for all that they had done for me, because I used that information as a tool to help the communities that I serve.
So selfless, selfless, because I have, in the time that I've spoken to you, everything is giving, giving, giving. And I am so touched by your heart. You worked in those different areas, and you have a concern about community crime in our communities today and what we need to do. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we're looking at young people in our community today, and then you hear on the news about stop the violence and stop the gun violence in our communities and things like that. We
Mhm.
also hear about law enforcement and officers shooting and killing people who calling for assistance. And it's like the recent event with the young lady who was in the kitchen with the hot water.
Yes.
Officer shot and killed. The, my thing is, let's address the youth first.
Okay.
The youth need a seat at the table. They
Yes.
need to have input into what it is that make them feel comfortable in the community.
Yeah.
We've all these years we've been telling kids what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere along the line, we haven't listened to them.
Mm-hmm.
And because we don't listen to them, they use their own devices to do what they need to do to survive.
Mm-hmm.
We as adults need to listen to what they have to say. What makes a community better for you to live in, educational wise,
Yes. Yeah.
otherwise, So that's the first thing with the youth. And I strongly suggest that we set a place at the table for our young people so that we can hear exactly how they feel about where they live and how they live.
Amen. That's one of the initiatives we're going to tell our audience about that you are launching for early 2025, and you're doing all
Yes,
the back office work now. There was one thing you said: give youth an opportunity and a seat at the table. You've done something like this before at another city that was very
yes,
successful.
yes. I was a police officer with the city of Alexandria, Virginia,
Uh-huh.
and we did a youth forum way back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
We took the kids to Massanutten Springs in Virginia,
Uh-huh.
and we got kids from the different schools, and we let them talk about those things that they felt was important to them. And the issues that they brought up was recorded and taken back to the city.
Uh-huh.
And believe it or not, the city of Alexandria implemented some of the children's recommendations.
Amen.
And those recommendations made a difference in the lives of those kids.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the ones who attended the youth forum, but just about every kid in that city benefited from that youth forum.
I'm
So that's what I'm proposing for us today.
I'm thinking that that probably still exists today. That initiative that you launched there is still being in operation in some form or fashion. But you also mentioned something about this initiative that we're working on putting together the youth forum. But I saw in what you were saying that you created an environment and a relationship with the youth to be comfortable enough to sit at the table and share their opinions. So your way of communicating with people is unique and very effective. Uh, I wonder about that. I don't know if you want to share this one with the world, but remember how your wife showed a picture to me and said, "Yeah, that's really him." Do you want to share that on this initiative, on this platform?
Yeah, I've always had the desire to change the lives of young people that I came in contact with.
Mm-hmm.
And I was given numerous awards in Alexandria for working with young people.
Uh-huh.
And the most important part that I see as a law enforcement officer is how you interact with the youth in the community.
Yeah.
I played basketball with them. I shot pool with them. I saw them in the morning and then turn around and saw them again in the evening.
Uh-huh.
But those things that was embedded in my heart because I wanted these young people to know that law enforcement isn't just the person wearing a badge and a gun.
So true.
Law enforcement goes beyond badge.
Yes.
And until police officers begin to recognize that you have to police beyond your badge.
Yes.
That's how you make
Peace beyond your badge. Love that.
yes, go beyond the badge. So that's basically where I have always policed.
All right. We got a couple more things on this segment because I want the world to know this initiative is going live spring early 2025, but in the back office, we will be reaching out to the entire Hampton Roads area to see who would align with us and with you on recreating some of those successful projects you have created in your 50 plus years of law enforcement. I mean, to come alongside of our everyday heroes from every walk of life when it comes to law enforcement. We give them, put them all in one basket, but the thanking or the appreciation is not there when we need to. When we call somebody, when we need help, we call them. But when something goes wrong, we are on that. But it's such an off balance in how do we help each other? How do we communicate? How do we come together on one initiative to cover all of the little problems, the big problems that lead to the death of so many uh, young adults, the death of our law enforcement officers, and the challenges that the community face and the challenges that law enforcement face. I see on the news right now over and over again the different departments working to create initiatives to get into the community and fix this problem that we're having today where there's just so many broken
Well,
hearts.
but let me say this.
Okay.
The attitude of us against them
Yeah,
cannot exist
true.
in
That's
a community and in law enforcement. It's not us against them.
that's right.
Police officers have to recognize the need to be a part of a community,
Mm-hmm.
not just uh, uh, driving around in a car. And how many times do you pass a police officer that he actually opens his mouth and say, "Hey, how you doing today?" That's a common courtesy.
Yes,
Don't cost you nothing to say hello to someone,
right.
not one brown penny.
That's right.
But when something happens in the community, you expect people to respond to your request for information.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to happen
Mm-hmm.
because that trust element is not there.
Mm-hmm.
You got to understand what it means to trust those people in law enforcement who have taken an oath to serve and protect you.
All right.
Now, I don't I don't mean no harm now. I'm going to say this. Every police department has its good side and its bad side.
Mm-hmm.
Every police department has people there who don't belong. And they got people there who have gone beyond where they've been. I was one of those police officers.
Yes, yes.
There are people like in law enforcement that was like me that's out there.
Yes.
But when you look at how you hire law enforcement officers today,
Mm-hmm.
you think about this, Mary. If I'm going to hire a law enforcement officer, I'm the police chiefs and those people responsible for hiring,
Mm-hmm.
they look at, well, this young man was in the military, he was in the Marine Corps,
Mm-hmm.
or this young man was in the Army, so he's suitable for law enforcement.
Uh-huh.
No, not true.
Uh-huh.
Not true.
All right.
You can't just hire a person that have military background,
Mm-hmm.
who have been in wars, who have come back home and got a job and is going to be out there policing the community that you want them to protect. It don't work that way.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these guys coming back, they have PTSD,
Mm-hmm.
they have other mental health issues that is not being addressed. And I'm gonna give you a good example. The best example of that is sitting right in front of you right now.
Amen. Amen.
I served in Vietnam for 21 months. And I got out and went into law enforcement, not knowing that I was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder.
Mm-hmm.
But that prevented me, when I knew I had PTSD, once I realized, I never wanted to be in a position where I was out there fighting crime. I wanted to be out there doing things to enhance the quality of life for the people that I was out there to serve and protect.
Yes.
And
yes.
that's what you have to do.
Yes.
Got to know your role. You got to place.
So,
Got to know what your abilities are and what your shortcomings are.
and
Once
that's
you do that, you can serve a community and serve. Yes.
and that's part of some of the background expertise you bring to some of the workshops, some of the public speaking environments that you do, and some of the initiatives that you create. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are so excited to just share our guests because Leadership Legacies and Legends Unleashed is all about finding those everyday heroes in our community, from the pulpit to our fathers, to our mothers, to our teachers, to law enforcement, to the students who mentor and encourage one another, and to community leaders, to politicians. There are just so many people working to make a difference. So you will hear more about the crime in our community, crime prevention forum that the chief has more details on, crime prevention action plans and things that he has created in his teaching, in his speaking. And when he speaks, because I've had the privilege of being at least three events that he did and he was speaking. It was like drop the mic good. You want to lean forward and listen because it was just that good. And this is from a gentleman who has a heart to serve, a heart to make a difference. And we want to just do a disclaimer here. We're not here to judge or criticize or burden anyone with any you should have this, you should have that, or what could he have done. We don't want to do that. We just want to expose a talent and a desire to offer his services to the community. And Women of Help and Influence is really 1,001% behind you. And you will hear more of Chief and the initiatives and pulling together the different groups to see if you want to be a part of it, because I am just thrilled. I mean, thrilled to have Chief as our guest today. So as we get ready to wrap up part one and take a break for our sponsors, Chief, is there any closing remarks on the topic of crime prevention and our youth today?
Yeah. Let me give you the definition of crime prevention.
Okay.
Crime prevention is the anticipation, recognition, and appraisal of a crime risk and the initiation of some form of action to reduce or eliminate that risk.
Wow. Well said. Well said.
Uh, we are community people and law enforcement have to work together in order to bring that definition to life.
Yes.
All that we would rather put
Let me
we
I
would
lost.
rather put
Uh-huh.
we would rather let 10 guilty people go free rather than put one innocent person in jail, because that's what our criminal justice system is made of.
Uh-huh.
So we want everyone to have a fair shot
Mhm.
at what it's like to live in a community without being subjected to violence, crime, uh, social, economical conditions that tear them down. We want them to live in a community that is prosperous,
Amen.
that
Woo!
will help them to grow, give them a part of society.
Well, this is exciting because just that picture you painted just then, it is a whole conversation. I can see community leaders coming together to sit and listen. Let's work together. And as a speaker, the wealth of information you have from all the training you have behind you is just a gift. And a fresh face, a fresh volunteer, a fresh expert coming to the table to say, let's make a difference together. So, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for being here with Chief Springs for part one of Chief Springs. Right now, we're going to take a break. But if you know veterans out there lost, floating, working 3 and 4 jobs, some of them working to get their full benefits, some homeless, some out on the street, not knowing what to do or how to communicate their need. Chief Springs in part two is going to address veterans and benefits and what to do. An expert certified in 3 areas, and we'll talk about that later. So have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon, Chief, on part two.